Good evening, everyone. My name is Amy Wiltsey. I'm the Finance Committee Chair for Stratford Public Schools, and I will call this meeting to order on Monday, November 27th, 2023. We are all here except for Mr. Bob David, who had a previous engagement, so we will get started with our agenda. I would like to start with Agenda Item B, please, the acceptance of minutes from October 23rd, 2023.
So moved.
Second. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Yes.
Yes.
Just a quick note at the end, the adjournment, the next scheduled meeting was not October 23rd, it was this November meeting, that's all. On page 5.
Thank you. November 27th. Teresa, you could make that edit? Thank you very much. Okay, we will move to Agenda Item C, discussion, information, and possible action. Item A, budget transfers. There are none. So we will move to Item B, financial reports. Ms. Mangini with expenditures, please.
Good evening. The October monthly financial report is currently reflecting a positive balance. However, I will tell you that there are a number of areas that we are watching closely, including electricity, which we reported out last month. The town entered into a new agreement that increased costs. And then fuel, as I reported to you in this month's packet, the town has also locked into a fuel agreement, which the diesel is a positive. We'll have a slight savings, which is what we predominantly in the school district utilize. And then, of course, the regular gasoline price did increase. So we will monitor those areas, a lot of pluses and minuses. We're also closely watching special education. There's been a considerable amount of movement over the last 4 to 6 weeks, both with an increased need for supports and increased out-of-district placements. Of course, Ms. Borges will provide you with more of a report shortly, but we are also monitoring some potential savings in unfilled CIA positions. We are struggling again this year, as we did last year, in filling those positions. So stay tuned. We do plan to provide you with a full analysis in the December meeting, which will actually provide us with the first real quarter of the school year, being September, October, and November. So we will be able to provide you with some more comprehensive information regarding our financial status at that time.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions for Ms. Mangini? Mr. Henry?
Yeah, on the CIA, I think classroom instruction aid salaries. It says we have a current available balance of $30,000. Is that? Are we still struggling to fill those positions? Because a lot of those are grant positions.
Actually, it's the next line as well, the special ed class instructional aid salaries, that we currently have an available balance of slightly over $500,000. The positions are both in ESSER right now because we added many that we were beyond the budgeted amounts here, and we are struggling to fill both ESSER positions budgeted as well as positions in the general operating budget.
So then with the $540,000 combination of those two, how many positions, how many vacant?
Mr. Henry, I'm sorry. Can you just pull your microphone?
Oh, sure, I'm sorry, yeah.
Thank you.
So with the, it's the first time somebody's told me to speak up. I'm sorry. So with the $540,000 combined line item, how many positions does that equate to?
That's probably approximately 15 positions currently, and again, they are at different levels within the contractual salary schedule.
Okay, thank you, that's all I had.
Mr. Proto?
Yeah, I'm just following up on Mr. Henrich's question. Those are salary lines. Is there concurrent availability of dollars in the benefits lines as well for those?
Yes, there most definitely will be, both under Social Security, Medicare, and FICA, which I guess under here, I apologize, it would be under Social Security. And also, if they are taking health insurance, there would be a savings reflected there as well. And they also do, some of them, I believe, get the defined contribution plan. There's a couple of different plans available depending upon when people were hired, but, so all of the benefit lines are affected.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions for Mrs. Mangini? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to item 2 with a grants update. Dr. Clemmy, please.
Good evening. You have your grant report in your packet. There's only one new grant on that report because of the timing. There's only one new grant on the report because of the timing, and that is the ARPA Right to Read grant, which is $250,000, which goes toward the new science of reading requirements that the state has imposed on districts throughout the state. That's their token way of trying to help us out with the expenses on that. That's the only new one this month. However, a lot of grants have come in since October 31st, the end date for this report. Title I has been approved by the state, Title II, Title III, the state bilingual grant, and both 21st century grants, one for the high schools and one for the middle schools. All those came in November, calendar November. In addition, we have 2 grants that are submitted and awaiting approval. We have Title IV into the state. That's probably going to take a little while. There's only one person at the state reading every district's Title IV grant. So, a little delay. And we have the Parents Trust Fund grant, which finances our Parent C program, most of it. And we have been notified that we are going to receive a grant, but this year the state had to mix multiple funding sources together in order to fund everybody, and they said it would take about another month for that to all get sorted out and into the system so we could begin to draw down funds. And lastly, we have 2 grants in progress for December. We have an HVAC grant that we're working on with the town for boilers at Chapel and Wilcoxon and some additional air conditioning repairs at upgrades at Wilcoxon. And then as well, we have the Perkins grant in progress, which is due in mid-December.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Clemmy. Does anyone have any questions regarding grants? Mrs. Bedell?
Just a quick question. The combination and the moving around that the state is looking at, that's for the Parent C grant?
That's correct.
Okay. But we've been advised that we are
We have been
receiving
advised to expect one.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Henrik?
So, on our Alliance grant, we have about $544,000 remaining in that line item. Can you get us a readout as to where the dollars have been expended to date and where those additional dollars will be expected to be spent?
So about 75–80% of that grant is in salaries and benefits for staff. The remainder of it is in supplies and like assessment tools and things like that for the students.
Can we get a breakdown of that grant?
I can send you, I don't have it with me, but I can send you one, sure.
Yeah, that'd be great. And then the right to read, is that, I mean, we at one of our previous meetings, we were told it'd be about $1 million to transfer over to the new reading program. Is this going to offset that, or is that in addition, or?
So the total cost estimate that I have at the moment for the Right to Read grant is $1.4 million approximately for the district as a whole. This $250,000 will offset against that $1.4 million.
1.4 would be the total cost to transfer?
Correct.
Okay. And then you mentioned, I think it was dual language?
Bilingual.
Bilingual? And I don't see that here, I might be.
No, that came in after October 31st. That was one of them.
And what would that grant be used for?
That grant is used for curriculum for the dual language program
Okay.
and for tutoring of dual language students.
Okay. Thank you. And what was that amount? I'm sorry.
That's about $34,000.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Proto?
Going back to, again, following up on Mr. Hendricks, the Right to Read grant, the $250,000, that has an end date of 12/31/24. Is that, the 1.4 million, is that for this fiscal year, or does that take us through the end of 12/31/24?
I'm not sure what the exact implementation schedule is in terms of rolling out the new Science of Reading program that we've selected. Maybe someone can speak to that, but I don't have an implementation schedule. But the 1.4 million is the total cost for whatever the schedule is, and the $250,000 is what the state gave us to try to offset that.
And one more. The Title I, II, and III grants that were approved, are they for roughly the same amount that was, that is showing in, excuse me, I'm sorry, that is showing as the budgeted amount for each of those, or have they increased or decreased?
So this is what, the amount that's showing on the report is the carryover amount. So Title I is actually around 1.9 million. Title II is around 250,000 roughly, and Title III is around 80,000, ballpark figure. They all three went down slightly this year.
Okay.
I would just, excuse me, I would like to add, thank you for that report, Dr. Clemming. We'll certainly work on trying to get you all the information on the Alliance grant, that breakdown, but I do want to remind the board that earlier this fall, Ms. Teresa Lykoudis was able to send the actual grant to the full board, which illustrates the actual breakdown for those funds.
No.
Any other questions for Dr. Clemmie with regards to grants? Okay, thank you. We will move to item 3, Special Education PPS Report. Ms. Borges?
Good evening. So the report you have in front of you is through October 31st. As you guys can see, we have continued to have a steady increase in our students that have enrolled, that have exceptionalities, and our identification of students with exceptionalities. We are over 1,301 students now that we are servicing, and I will tell you that although it appears we are tracking on budget right now, due to the needs of the new students and due to the needs of the new students we have identified, next month I am projecting we will have a deficit in a few of those areas.
Mr. Proto, is your hand up? Yep.
You said since July we've had 64 students with exceptionalities that have registered. Have we had any students that had started with us on July 1st who are no longer with us?
Yes, yes. I don't have that number in front of me, but I can get that for you. Not as many.
There's been a net increase.
Yes. We've watched the number steadily go up each month between 12 and 15 students.
And also the out-of-district placements,
So I can tell you this is for October, so you're
Right.
looking, last month was 85, we're down to 82, but now in November, that number is higher. So you're going to see an increase because new students that have moved in were already previously outplaced when they moved in.
So will it be higher than the 82 or higher than the 85?
It'll be higher than the 85.
And are any of those outplaced out of state?
Not the new ones, no. We do have a couple students outplaced out of state.
Thank you.
Mr. Henrik?
Sure, thank you. So in the financial report, it says adjusted budget for line item 300 and 560. What adjustments were made to those? Why are they noted as adjusted?
These are tuitions, so we had the budget transfer in that, as well as when we unencumber and encumber students as they move in and out. So that does get adjusted.
Okay. So the adjustment basically takes it from 300 to 560 or vice versa?
The adjustment would move the money, yeah, would shift.
Within the special ed? Okay, thank you.
So just
Yeah, Mr. Proto?
follow up on Mr. Henrik. We're doing well, really well tonight, Mike. So if I look at line 560, would the adjusted budget, would have it adjusted downward for October and we will see an upward adjustment for November?
Yes.
And I could clarify that on page 2 of the monthly financial report, you will see in the adjusted column that the board did approve this transfer 2 months ago for $302,750.
Would it be helpful for the committee if we knew what the adjustments were each month? So in this particular case, on line 560, what was the adjustment downward? How much did we adjust downward? And the next one, how much are we adjusting upward? I guess that's a
It
question.
will always be in that column. I'm just trying, let me give it some thought on how it might be clearer to you as a committee. Because you always have that information. Anything that's going up and down that line is going to adjust.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Ms. Borges? Okay, thank you. We will move to item 4, the food services report. Mrs. Mangini?
Sure. We continue to trend in a positive way with a very healthy balance. However, I will caution you, this is the report for August. So when you see the next report, as you recall, we're always 2 months behind, and part of that is the delay in getting some of our information, but also our state reimbursements. But the September report will probably be more reflective of what we can anticipate as we move forward each month, because it is the first month that we truly had student lunches being served for the report that you haven't seen in a while. We are still watching carefully unpaid lunches. It is still problematic. The schools have been wonderful in trying to work with us and potentially or possibly identify students in need so that we can do all we can to get them set up with free and reduced applications to see if their family qualifies. But we are concerned about that, so we are watching that revenue for sales very carefully. But so far, so good, so let's take that moment.
Mr. Henry?
Yeah, and do we, those uncollected funds, do we have a number where that, and is it just for this year, or do we have a past deficit that's been carried over?
We are required by state statute to make the food service program whole, and we did that last year. Don't quote me, I will triple check the amount. I believe it was about $12,000 last year that had to come from the board budget to pay food service. This year we're trending, I'm trying to remember, I'm very visual, so I'm trying to see that report I saw, but it's been around $15,000 a month, which is a concern because it can be $250,000 by year end if we don't collect it. But I did provide that to you at a previous meeting, but I will certainly get that information updated for you.
I know a few years back, I think the town had given us back $1 million to offset some of those uncollected funds. Was that done? The numbers you gave me last year and this year, would that have been the zero budget year starting last year?
If I'm understanding your question, just two things I want to clarify. That $1 million wasn't actually given to us by the town. That was the board approving the utilization of a year-end balance to pay something towards a very long overdue deficit in the food service program that had occurred for 7, 8, maybe even a decade, 10 years. So each year, if we had any remaining balance, it was before I was here, but our tremendous finance director, Susan Nicholson, brought me up to speed on that, in that the auditors were adamant that we had to pay down something on that. So we utilized board funds. With regard to starting, excuse me, at a zero balance, we did do that last year for the first time.
Okay. And that year that we paid down that balance, was that last year?
No, it was on my first year here.
Wait.
21.
2021?
I'm sorry, for the both of you, can you pull your microphones closer so the rest of us can hear the conversation?
Hang on, that's twice.
So that was the year ending 2021 that we paid the $1 million?
I'm going to check. It was 21. I think we paid some. In 22, we paid the balance.
Okay. Can we get those numbers as to what, please?
Certainly provide
Yes,
that.
thank you.
Sorry.
Excuse me.
I'm going to keep mine close.
Okay, are there any other questions with regard to the food services? Okay. Ms. Mangini, if you wouldn't mind, item C, when you can catch your breath, we'll speak on enrollment.
Allergy season has been fun for me in the past few weeks. Thank you. Okay, you do have your enrollment report in front of you for November 1st. We did make the recommendations of, on the very last line, previous month enrollment. We added the actual month, which is September 29th, for that information across that line. And we did clarify that services only row reflects students who are parentally placed through choice, and Strive are students 18 to 21 requiring transitional services beyond high school. Overall, you'll see that we are been trending pretty much what we have reported, and we're leveled with enrollment. We're 19 students less than we were last year at this time for in-district, and total enrollment is 26 less than last year.
Do you have a question, Mr. Henry?
Yeah, and so that number, I think, includes 14, well, this is September till now, I think, but that includes 14 new preschool students?
Yes.
If I'm reading the numbers correct? So-
Correct.
Okay. And those are kids that have reached the age of 3 and go into the program, or are they just kids moving into district, or
Both.
both? Okay.
Their kids actually moving into district. Just because students in the district turn 3, they don't automatically go to preschool.
Okay. Thank you.
Mrs. Lance?
My question goes to Dr. Sunday. I'm noticing that Flood and Worcester have quite a difference in the number of students enrolled in the two schools. Has anything been done about staff? Is there enough staff at Worcester, or are we doing anything about that?
Right now, we have satisfactory staff at both schools. All classrooms are under contractual limits, but in order to try to focus on balance between the schools, we believe the SLAM study is going to help in that direction.
Thank you. Because that is quite a difference.
I would just add that last year, we were looking at very similar differences, and by the time we got to year end, it had equaled out. And I will also add that in discussions with Dr. Osunday, we did stop. If new students moved in, we are putting them over to Flood as much as we possibly can at this point.
Thank you, Pam.
Mrs. Bedell, did you have your hand up?
I did, but I'm not.
Don't anymore? Mr. Henry?
Yeah, so and regarding the, I don't know who might answer this, but regarding Flood and Worcester, do they have the same spatial abilities? Do they have the same capacity abilities to make them equal if we decided to, or is one school slightly smaller in classroom?
I believe so. I think there isn't that much of a variance, but we are going through the facility studies with SLAM, and that information will come back to the planning committee as to the capacity for each building.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, before I accept a motion to adjourn, I just would like to take the opportunity to say thank you for allowing me to serve as chair of the Finance Committee for the last 2 years, and I'd also like to thank Ms. Mangini for your expertise. Stratford Public Schools is very lucky to have you. I cannot offer a date for the next meeting because on December 11th, there will be a new chair with the new Board of Education, so good luck to all of you. And I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you very much. This meeting is adjourned at 6:52 p.m.